Welcome. You have arrived in the right place for some mental stimulation delivered in a tone and at a pace designed to relax you and help you sleep. With this video commentary, we aim to achieve that, while also supplying some facts on an interesting sleep-related topic: how science has debunked the sinister fears about sleep paralysis. Without further ado, let us examine the very real affliction and the realities of how it can be managed. Part 1. Gripped by sleep. Sleep paralysis is a moment when your mind wakes but your body does not. You lie in bed, aware of your surroundings, yet unable to move or speak. Your limbs will not respond. Your voice will not come. For a few seconds or several minutes, you remain suspended between sleep and waking, a passenger in your own stillness. This experience has touched humans across all recorded history. It appears in ancient texts and modern sleep clinics alike. The sensation itself has not changed, though our words for it have. What medieval villagers called a demon's visit, scientists now describe as a natural event in the brain's sleep machinery. Both perspectives grapple with the same strange truth. Sometimes consciousness returns before the body is ready to move again. The feeling can be unsettling. Many people report a weight on their chest, a pressure that makes breathing feel labored. Some sense a presence nearby, something watching from the shadows. Others hear whispers, footsteps, or humming sounds that seem to come from within the room. Visual impressions may appear, shadowy figures or lights that vanish when the episode ends. These sensations feel intensely real in the moment, vivid and immediate. Yet sleep paralysis is not dangerous. It does not harm the body or the mind. It is a temporary mismatch, a brief moment when two parts of the sleep cycle overlap in an unusual way. Understanding this can bring comfort. Knowledge does not erase the strangeness, but it offers a framework, a way to hold the experience without fear. Think of sleep as a carefully choreographed performance. The brain and body move through stages in sequence, each with its role. Deep sleep restores the body. Sleep that takes us to rapid eye movement, REM sleep, brings dreams. Muscles relax, breathing steadies, and awareness fades. Usually these transitions happen smoothly, unnoticed. But occasionally the timing slips. Consciousness arrives a few moments too early, before the body has lifted its protective stillness. That gap is sleep paralysis. Throughout human history, people have tried to explain these moments. Without modern neuroscience, they turned to the stories and symbols of their time. In medieval Europe, sleepers spoke of the night hag, an entity believed to sit upon the chest of the sleeping and steal their breath. Old English texts described the mare, a malevolent spirit that rode upon dreamers. The word nightmare itself comes from this folklore, linking the terror of bad dreams to these nocturnal visitations. In Newfoundland and parts of Atlantic Canada, the phenomenon was called the old hag. People described waking to find themselves pinned, unable to cry out, with a heavy presence pressing down. The stories were passed through generations, a shared language for something that could not otherwise be named. Families spoke of it as a known danger, something to guard against with charms or prayers. Across Asia, similar accounts appear. In Chinese culture, reports describe a ghost pressing on the body, a spirit that immobilizes the sleeper. In Japan, the term kanashibari refers to being bound by metal, an invisible force that holds the limbs rigid. Korean folklore speaks of a scissors ghost, an entity that leaves the victim paralyzed and afraid. In each tradition, the symptoms align: immobility, pressure, fear, and often a sense of malevolent presence. Hmong communities in Southeast Asia have spoken of dabbed sog, an experience in which a spirit sits on the chest and will not let the sleeper move. Some accounts link these episodes to sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome, though the connection remains debated and complex. The cultural weight of these stories is significant, shaping how individuals interpret and respond to the sensations. Indigenous communities around the world have their own narratives. Among some Arctic peoples, sleep paralysis has been described as an attack by spirits or a test of inner strength. In various African traditions, explanations involve witchcraft or spiritual attack, reflecting broader belief systems about unseen forces and the vulnerability of sleep. The consistency across these accounts is striking. Different languages, different continents, different centuries, yet the core experience remains recognizable. A person wakes and cannot move. They feel pressure. They perceive a presence. The details vary, shaped by culture and belief, but the underlying event is the same. This suggests something universal in human physiology, a feature of how our brains and bodies manage sleep. Let your breath slow now, steady and deep, as we prepare to move gently forward. Part 2. The mind awake, the body dreaming. As you settle deeper, consider what happens in the brain during these moments. Sleep paralysis is not just an absence of movement. It is a rich, strange state where perception itself bends. Many people report hallucinations during episodes, sensory experiences that feel utterly real yet vanish when the paralysis ends. Understanding these hallucinations helps demystify the fear. The brain during sleep paralysis is caught between two worlds. Part of it remains in the dream state, where logic loosens and imagery flows freely. Another part has crossed into waking awareness, processing real sensory input from the room around you. These two streams collide. Dream fragments spill into your perception of the bedroom. Your mind tries to make sense of conflicting signals, and in doing so it conjures things that are not there. 3 types of hallucinations are commonly reported. The first involves a sensed presence. You feel certain that someone or something is nearby, watching, lurking just beyond sight. This presence often feels malevolent, though not always. Some describe it as neutral, simply there. The feeling is powerful, immediate, and deeply convincing. Your heart may race. Fear rises, sharp and instinctive. This sense presence likely arises from how the brain monitors its surroundings. Even in sleep, the brain remains somewhat vigilant, scanning for threats. During sleep paralysis, this vigilance misfires. The brain detects its own immobility and interprets it as danger. It generates a presence to explain the fear, a phantom intruder to match the alarm signals coursing through your nervous system. The emotion comes first, and the mind creates a story to fit. The second type of hallucination involves pressure and weight. You feel something heavy pressing down on your chest or abdomen. Breathing becomes difficult, not because your airways are blocked, but because the muscles of your rib cage are still locked in REM atonia. The effort to breathe feels enormous. This sensation, combined with the paralysis, creates the impression of being crushed or held down by force. Historically, this experience gave rise to the incubus and succubus legends. These were demons said to lie upon sleepers, suffocating them or engaging in nocturnal attacks. The mythology reflects the physical sensations people felt: weight, pressure, breathlessness, and helplessness. Without a physiological explanation, supernatural interpretation filled the void. The third type involves visual and auditory hallucinations. Shadows move at the edge of your vision. Figures stand in doorways or approach the bed. You hear footsteps, voices, humming, buzzing, or clicking sounds. Some people see lights, geometric patterns, or distorted faces. Others report feeling touched, pulled, or lifted, as if hands grasp their limbs or something tugs at the blankets. These hallucinations stem from the blending of REM dream imagery with waking perception. The visual cortex remains active, generating images as it does during dreams. But now your eyes are open, or partly open, taking in real shapes and shadows from the room. The brain weaves these together, overlaying dream content onto the physical space around you. The result is a hybrid reality, neither fully dream nor fully awake. Sound hallucinations may involve the auditory cortex misfiring, or they may be dream sounds that persist into the waking state. The brain's threat detection systems amplify ambiguous stimuli. A faint creak becomes footsteps. The hum of a fan becomes whispers. The mind fills in details, constructing a narrative of danger to explain the paralysis and fear. Not everyone experiences intense hallucinations. Some people have sleep paralysis episodes with little more than the paralysis itself, a temporary inability to move that passes quietly. Others have vivid, terrifying encounters that leave them shaken. The variability depends on individual brain chemistry, stress levels, sleep quality, and perhaps genetic factors. No two experiences are identical, though common themes recur. It helps to remember that these hallucinations, however frightening, are not external. They do not come from spirits, demons, or intruders. They are creations of your own mind, generated by the unusual state of your brain during the episode. This knowledge does not make the fear disappear in the moment, but it provides a framework for understanding. The presence is not real. The figure in the corner is not real. The weight is your own body's paralysis, not an outside force. Many people who experience sleep paralysis worry that it signals something wrong with their mind or body. This is understandable. The experience feels abnormal, disturbing, unlike anything else in daily life. Yet sleep paralysis is surprisingly common. Studies estimate that between 8 and 50% of people will experience at least one episode in their lifetime. The wide range reflects different study methods and populations, but the underlying point holds. You are not alone in this. Isolated episodes are generally harmless. They do not indicate mental illness, neurological damage, or supernatural influence. For most people, sleep paralysis occurs only occasionally, perhaps once or twice in a lifetime, often during periods of high stress or disrupted sleep. The episodes are brief, and normal sleep resumes afterward. Recurrent episodes, however, can affect quality of life. If sleep paralysis happens frequently, it may lead to anxiety around bedtime. Fear of another episode can make falling asleep difficult, which in turn worsens sleep deprivation and increases the likelihood of more episodes. This cycle can be distressing. People may avoid sleep, or they may develop rituals and fears that interfere with rest. In such cases, seeking guidance from a healthcare provider is reasonable. A sleep specialist can evaluate your sleep patterns, identify contributing factors, and suggest interventions. This is not an emergency. Sleep paralysis does not require urgent medical attention. But if it disrupts your life, support is available. Let your awareness soften now, allowing the information to settle quietly as you drift toward rest. Part 3. The Science of Stillness. The study of sleep paralysis has deepened considerably in recent decades. Researchers use tools that were once unimaginable, peering into the sleeping brain with precision. Polysomnography, the comprehensive recording of sleep, captures brain waves, eye movements, muscle tone, heart rate, and breathing patterns simultaneously. These recordings reveal the exact moments when sleep stages shift, when REM begins, when consciousness flickers back. In laboratory settings, scientists have documented sleep paralysis as it occurs. Electrodes placed on the scalp detect electrical activity in the brain. The patterns are distinctive. During REM sleep, the brain shows activity similar to waking, with fast, low-amplitude waves. The eyes dart beneath closed lids, tracked by sensors at the temples. Yet the chin muscle, monitored by another electrode, shows almost no tone. The body is deeply relaxed, locked in atonia. When sleep paralysis happens, the brain wave pattern begins to shift. The waves characteristic of REM start to give way to those of waking. Consciousness returns, but the muscle atonia persists. The person becomes aware, yet the chin muscle remains silent, flaccid. This discordance is the hallmark of the condition. It is visible on the recording as a mixed state, neither fully asleep nor fully awake. The brainstem plays a central role in this process. Deep within the brain, below the cortex and limbic structures, lie clusters of neurons that regulate sleep stages. One region, the pons, is particularly important for REM sleep. Cells in the pons send signals that trigger the muscle paralysis of REM. They release neurotransmitters that inhibit motor neurons in the spinal cord, preventing movement. Another set of neurons, located in the hypothalamus, helps control the transition between sleep and waking. These cells produce a chemical called orexin, also known as hypocretin. Orexin stabilizes wakefulness and helps prevent unwanted shifts between sleep states. When orexin signaling is disrupted, as in narcolepsy, the boundaries between sleep stages become porous. REM intrudes into waking, and sleep paralysis becomes more frequent. The neurotransmitters involved in REM atonia include gamma-aminobutyric acid, known as GABA, and glycine. Both are inhibitory, meaning they reduce the activity of neurons. During REM, these chemicals flood the motor neurons, silencing them. The muscles go limp, unable to respond to signals from the brain. This is a carefully controlled process, essential for safe dreaming. When sleep paralysis occurs, the release of these inhibitory signals has not yet ceased, even though the brain is beginning to wake. The motor neurons remain suppressed. Gradually, as the brain fully transitions to waking, the chemical balance shifts. The inhibition lifts. Muscle tone returns. The paralysis ends. The entire process is automatic, governed by ancient circuits in the brain that have been refined over millions of years of evolution. Evolutionary biologists have speculated about why REM atonia exists at all. The most straightforward explanation is protection. Dreams can be intensely physical. You might dream of running from danger, fighting, or leaping from heights. Without atonia, you would act out these movements, risking injury to yourself or anyone sleeping nearby. Atonia keeps you safe, anchoring your body while your mind roams free. Sleep paralysis, then, is not a malfunction but a mistiming. The mechanisms are working as designed. The paralysis of REM is doing its job. The issue is one of coordination, a brief lag in the orchestrated release of muscle tone. This perspective can be comforting. Your brain is not broken. It is simply navigating a tricky transition, and occasionally the timing slips. The prevalence of sleep paralysis varies across populations. Some studies suggest it is more common in students and young adults, perhaps because of irregular schedules and higher stress levels. Others find elevated rates in people with anxiety disorders or post-traumatic stress. Shift workers and those with disrupted circadian rhythms also report more frequent episodes. The common thread is disrupted sleep, the enemy of smooth transitions between sleep stages. Genetics may also play a role. Some families report sleep paralysis across multiple generations, suggesting a heritable component. Specific genes involved in sleep regulation, neurotransmitter function, or stress response could influence susceptibility. Research in this area is ongoing, and no single gene has been definitively linked to sleep paralysis. More likely, it is a trait influenced by many genes, each contributing a small effect. Cultural factors shape how sleep paralysis is experienced and reported. In cultures where supernatural explanations are prevalent, people may interpret episodes through that lens, reinforcing fear and anxiety. In cultures with more biomedical framing, people may recognize the phenomenon as sleep paralysis and feel less distressed. Education and awareness can shift the narrative, replacing fear with understanding. Interestingly, some individuals learn to remain calm during episodes. With repeated experiences, they recognize the sensations for what they are. They know the paralysis will pass. They focus on breathing, on small movements, on waiting patiently. Some even report a sense of curiosity, observing the hallucinations as if watching a film. This level of calm is not easy to achieve, but it demonstrates that the psychological response to sleep paralysis is not fixed. It can be reshaped. Lucid dreaming, the state of being aware that you are dreaming while still asleep, shares some features with sleep paralysis. Both involve a heightened level of consciousness during a sleep stage that is usually experienced passively. Some lucid dreamers report that they can enter a lucid dream directly from a state of sleep paralysis. They remain still, allowing the paralysis to continue, and then consciously slip back into REM sleep with awareness intact. This technique is not for everyone, and it requires practice and a certain comfort with the sensations of paralysis. For those interested in lucid dreaming, however, sleep paralysis can be seen not as a frightening obstacle but as a potential doorway. The key is to remain calm, to breathe steadily, and to guide your awareness gently back toward the dream state. Fear disrupts the process, pulling you fully awake and ending the paralysis abruptly. The connection between sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming also highlights the fluidity of consciousness during sleep. We tend to think of sleep as a binary state, either on or off. In reality, sleep is a spectrum, a landscape of shifting awareness. We pass through many gradations each night, most of them unnoticed. Sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming are simply moments when that hidden complexity becomes visible. As you absorb this knowledge, let it bring a sense of ease, knowing that science has illuminated what was once shrouded in mystery. Part 4. Living with the Night. For those who experience sleep paralysis regularly, the impact extends beyond the episodes themselves. Anticipation can become a burden. The night approaches, and with it the worry that paralysis will return. This anxiety can make falling asleep difficult, which in turn increases the likelihood of an episode. Breaking this cycle requires patience and deliberate effort. One approach is to establish a calming bedtime routine. Routines signal to the brain that sleep is near, helping to smooth the transition. The routine might include dimming lights an hour before bed, taking a warm bath, reading quietly, or listening to soft music. The specific activities matter less than their consistency. The brain learns the pattern, and the body begins to relax in anticipation. Journaling before bed can help unload the mind. Worries, tasks, and thoughts swirl through the day, and they often intensify at night. Writing them down, even briefly, externalizes them. They move from the swirling chaos of your mind onto the page, where they can rest until morning. This simple act can reduce the mental arousal that interferes with sleep. Some people find value in sleep-focused meditation practices. These are not the same as general mindfulness meditation. They are designed specifically to guide you into sleep. They often begin with body awareness, noticing sensations without trying to change them. Then they move to the breath, slow and steady. Finally, they may use imagery, inviting you to visualize a peaceful scene, a forest path, a quiet beach, a meadow under stars. Guided sleep meditations are widely available, narrated in calm, soothing voices. You simply listen, allowing the words to lead you deeper into relaxation. Over time, your brain associates these recordings with sleep, and they become a reliable tool for easing the transition. Even if sleep paralysis occurs, the practice of calm observation learned through meditation can help you remain steady during the episode. Another strategy is cognitive reframing. When you notice anxiety about sleep paralysis rising, you gently challenge the anxious thoughts. You remind yourself that sleep paralysis is not dangerous. It is temporary. It has happened before, and you have survived it. You are safe. This is not about forcing yourself to feel brave or dismissing your fear as irrational. It is about offering yourself accurate information, grounding your mind in facts rather than fear. Some people benefit from creating a plan for what to do if an episode occurs. This plan might include focusing on small movements, like wiggling your toes or fingers. Often, even the smallest successful movement can break the paralysis. Another option is to focus on your breathing. Since the diaphragm is less affected by REM atonia than other muscles, you can usually control your breath to some degree. Concentrating on slow, deep breaths can help you stay calm and may hasten the end of the episode. Reminding yourself that the hallucinations are not real is another component of the plan. In the moment, this can be difficult. The sensations are vivid and convincing. But if you can hold on to the knowledge, even faintly, that the presence, the pressure, the sounds are generated by your own brain, it reduces the terror. You are not being attacked. You are not in danger. Your mind is creating these images, and they will pass. Some individuals find comfort in keeping a light on while they sleep, or in having a partner nearby. The presence of another person can be reassuring, even if they are asleep. Knowing you are not alone in the room can reduce the intensity of fear if an episode occurs. A dim nightlight can also help. If you open your eyes during paralysis, the soft light grounds you in reality, making it easier to distinguish the real room from the hallucinations. Sleep position adjustments can sometimes help. If you notice that episodes tend to happen when you sleep on your back, making a conscious effort to sleep on your side may reduce their frequency. You can use pillows to support this position, placing one behind your back to prevent rolling over during the night. This is a simple intervention, and while it does not work for everyone, it is worth exploring. Addressing underlying sleep disorders is also important. If you snore loudly, gasp for air during sleep, or feel excessively tired during the day despite adequate time in bed, you may have obstructive sleep apnea. This condition disrupts sleep architecture and can increase the likelihood of sleep paralysis. A sleep study can diagnose sleep apnea, and treatment, often with a CPAP machine, can improve both sleep quality and reduce paralysis episodes. Similarly, if you experience sudden daytime sleepiness, muscle weakness triggered by strong emotions, or vivid dreams immediately upon falling asleep, you may have narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is strongly linked to frequent sleep paralysis. It is a neurological condition that requires medical management. A sleep specialist can evaluate your symptoms, conduct appropriate tests, and develop a treatment plan. For those without underlying disorders, lifestyle adjustments often bring significant improvement. Regular physical activity promotes better sleep, though intense exercise close to bedtime can be stimulating. Aim to finish vigorous workouts at least a few hours before bed. Gentle stretching or yoga in the evening can be beneficial, releasing physical tension without overstimulating the nervous system. Diet also plays a role. Heavy meals late at night can cause discomfort and disrupt sleep. Spicy or acidic foods may trigger reflux, which fragments rest. On the other hand, going to bed very hungry can also interfere with sleep. A light snack, something with a balance of carbohydrates and protein, can be helpful. Foods that contain tryptophan, such as dairy, nuts, or turkey, may support the production of sleep-promoting neurotransmitters. Limiting fluid intake in the evening reduces the likelihood of waking to use the bathroom. Frequent awakenings increase the chances of sleep paralysis, as each awakening is a potential point where REM atonia and consciousness might overlap. Balancing hydration with uninterrupted sleep is a matter of individual adjustment. For those whose work requires night shifts or rotating schedules, managing sleep is more challenging. The circadian system is not easily overridden. It evolved over millennia to align with the natural cycle of day and night. Asking it to reverse or constantly shift is demanding. If you work nights, prioritize sleep during your designated rest period. Make your sleep environment as dark and quiet as possible. Consider blackout curtains and white noise machines. Communicate with household members about the importance of uninterrupted sleep. If you experience sleep paralysis in the context of shift work, recognize that your schedule is a significant contributing factor. You may not be able to eliminate episodes entirely while maintaining that schedule, but you can reduce their frequency with careful attention to sleep hygiene. Short naps before a night shift can help reduce sleep debt, though napping too close to your main sleep period can interfere with falling asleep later. Substance use deserves attention as well. Alcohol disrupts sleep architecture. Cannabis, while it may help some people fall asleep initially, also affects REM sleep and can lead to rebound effects. If you use substances to manage sleep or anxiety, consider discussing alternatives with a healthcare provider. There may be safer, more effective options that do not carry the same risks of dependence or sleep disruption. Stress management extends beyond relaxation techniques. It includes setting boundaries, managing workload, and seeking support when needed. Chronic stress takes a toll on every system in the body, including sleep. If your life circumstances are overwhelming, reaching out for help is not a sign of weakness. It is a practical step toward better health. Therapy, support groups, or simply talking with trusted friends can provide relief and perspective. For some, the fear of sleep paralysis itself becomes the primary problem. The episodes may be infrequent, but the anxiety between them is constant. In such cases, working with a therapist trained in cognitive behavioral approaches can be especially helpful. The therapist can guide you through exposure techniques, gradually reducing the fear response. You might also explore underlying anxiety or trauma that could be amplifying your reaction to the episodes. It is worth noting that not everyone who experiences sleep paralysis is distressed by it. Some people view it with curiosity or even indifference. They recognize it as a strange quirk of their sleep, nothing more. If you fall into this category, there is no need to take action unless the episodes become more frequent or disruptive. The goal is not to pathologize a natural phenomenon, but to offer support and strategies for those who need them. Let yourself rest now in the knowledge that you have tools, understanding, and the capacity to navigate these experiences with growing calm. Part 5: Voices from the Past. Throughout history, sleep paralysis has left its mark on art, literature, and medicine. Ancient texts describe the phenomenon with remarkable clarity, even when the language differs greatly from our own. The symptoms they record are unmistakable. Physicians in ancient Greece wrote of patients who woke unable to move, oppressed by a weight upon the chest. They called it ephialtes, linking it to nightmares and troubled sleep. The Greek physician Galen, working in the 2nd century, documented cases where patients experienced nocturnal suffocation and immobility. He attributed the condition to an imbalance of bodily humors, the dominant medical theory of his time. While his explanation was incorrect by modern standards, his observations were accurate. He noted the connection between the episodes and factors we still recognize today: heavy meals before bed, sleeping on the back, and states of exhaustion. In traditional Chinese medicine, practitioners described similar experiences centuries ago. They recognized patterns of what they called ghost oppression, where sleepers felt pinned by unseen forces. The condition was thought to involve disruptions in the flow of qi, the vital energy believed to animate the body. Treatments focused on restoring balance through herbs, acupuncture, and lifestyle modifications. Medieval European medical texts also grappled with the phenomenon. They often blended medical and supernatural explanations, reflecting the worldview of the time. The concept of the incubus served both as folklore and as a medical diagnosis. Physicians debated whether these visitations were physical or spiritual in nature, whether they could be prevented through prayer or through changes in diet and habits. The witch trials of early modern Europe sometimes involved accusations related to sleep paralysis. People who experienced episodes might claim they had been visited by a witch or demon in the night, providing testimony that contributed to prosecutions. The paralysis, the sense of presence, the feeling of being attacked. All of these aligned with contemporary beliefs about witchcraft and malevolent magic. The consequences were tragic, rooted in misunderstanding of a natural phenomenon. Art has also captured the essence of sleep paralysis. The most famous example is Henry Fuseli's painting, The Nightmare, created in 1781. The image shows a woman draped across a bed, unconscious, while a grotesque creature sits upon her chest. In the background, a horse's head emerges from darkness, its eyes wild. The painting evokes the sensations of sleep paralysis with unsettling accuracy. The weight, the presence, the sense of something wrong lurking just beyond perception. Fuseli's work resonated deeply with viewers, becoming one of the most discussed paintings of its era. It spoke to a shared human experience, one that crossed cultural and social boundaries. People recognized the scene, even if they could not articulate why. The painting was reproduced widely, appearing in books, prints, and adaptations. It became a cultural touchstone, a visual shorthand for the terror that can accompany sleep. Literature has explored sleep paralysis as well, though often without naming it directly. Gothic fiction and horror tales frequently describe moments when characters wake to find themselves immobilized, confronted by apparitions, or overcome by dread. Edgar Allan Poe's stories hint at such experiences, capturing the claustrophobic terror of being trapped within one's own body. In more recent times, sleep paralysis has entered popular culture through film, television, and online communities. The internet has created spaces where people share their experiences, finding solidarity and information. Forums and social media groups dedicated to sleep paralysis allow individuals to compare notes, offer support, and learn about the condition. This collective sharing has helped normalize the experience, reducing the isolation that often accompanies it. Documentaries and educational videos have also raised awareness. They feature interviews with researchers, animations explaining the neuroscience, and testimonials from people who have experienced episodes. This media presence has shifted the conversation, moving sleep paralysis from the realm of the mysterious and frightening into the realm of the understood and manageable. Yet cultural interpretations persist alongside scientific understanding. In many communities, supernatural explanations remain the primary framework. This is not necessarily problematic. Beliefs and narratives provide meaning and context. They connect individuals to their heritage and community. The challenge is ensuring that these narratives do not prevent people from accessing effective support when needed, and that they do not amplify fear unnecessarily. Some cultures have rituals or practices specifically intended to prevent sleep paralysis or protect against the entities believed to cause it. These might include prayers, amulets, specific sleeping arrangements, or bedtime rituals. From a scientific perspective, these practices may work not because they ward off spirits, but because they reduce anxiety and create a sense of control. If a ritual helps someone feel safer and sleep better, it serves a valuable purpose, regardless of the mechanism. Anthropologists who study sleep across cultures have found that the interpretation of sleep paralysis often reflects broader beliefs about the self, the spirit world, and the boundaries between waking and sleeping. In cultures with strong beliefs in spirit possession, sleep paralysis may be seen as a moment of vulnerability when spirits can enter. In cultures with more individualistic views of consciousness, it may be framed as a neurological quirk or a stress response. These interpretations shape not only how people understand the experience, but also how they respond to it emotionally. Someone who views sleep paralysis as a medical condition may feel curiosity or frustration. Someone who views it as a spiritual attack may feel terror and seek spiritual protection. Both responses are valid within their respective frameworks. The goal of education is not to invalidate cultural beliefs, but to offer additional information that might reduce suffering. Historians of medicine note that sleep paralysis represents a fascinating case study in how medical understanding evolves. What was once attributed to demons, humors, or spiritual imbalance is now explained through neurotransmitters, brain circuits, and sleep stages. Yet the experience itself has not changed. The human brain operates now as it did thousands of years ago. Only our language for describing it has shifted. This evolution reminds us that science is a process, not a fixed endpoint. Our current understanding of sleep paralysis, while robust, is not complete. Future research may reveal additional layers of complexity, new connections, or more effective interventions. The humility to recognize the limits of our knowledge is as important as the confidence to apply what we have learned. Sleep paralysis also invites philosophical reflection. It challenges our assumptions about consciousness, agency, and the boundary between self and world. When you are paralyzed, aware but unable to act, where does the self reside? The experience foregrounds questions that are usually abstract, making them immediate and visceral. Some who experience sleep paralysis report that it has changed their perspective on reality itself. The vividness of the hallucinations, the absolute conviction in the moment that what they perceive is real, can be profoundly unsettling. It reveals the constructed nature of perception, the way the brain interprets signals and creates a coherent experience. This realization can be disorienting, but it can also be liberating, opening new ways of understanding the mind. Breathe slowly and let this tapestry of history and human experience settle around you like a soft blanket. Part 6. Pathways to Peace. If sleep paralysis visits you, the moments during an episode can feel eternal. Time stretches. Seconds become minutes. The inability to move amplifies every sensation, every fear. Yet there are techniques you can employ in the moment, small mental shifts that can ease the experience and shorten its duration. First, remind yourself that this is sleep paralysis. Even as the sensations overwhelm you, try to hold on to that simple fact. This is a known phenomenon. It is temporary. It will end. You have felt this before, or you have learned about it, and you know what it is. This mental anchor can prevent panic from spiraling. Panic feeds on uncertainty and amplifies fear. Recognition interrupts that cycle. Focus on your breathing. Your breathing is partially under your control, even during paralysis. The muscles of the diaphragm are less affected than the muscles of the limbs. You can breathe deeply, slowly, intentionally. Make each breath a point of focus. Inhale gently, expanding your belly. Exhale slowly, releasing tension. Let the rhythm of your breath become a steady anchor, something familiar in the strangeness. Some people find that attempting to move their eyes helps. The eyes are controlled by different muscles and neural pathways than the rest of the body. During REM sleep, they move rapidly, and that capacity often remains during sleep paralysis. Try to shift your gaze, to look left and right, up and down. This movement can signal to your brain that you are waking, and it may help accelerate the end of the episode. Others report success with attempting small movements. Do not try to sit up or move your whole body. Instead, focus on a single finger or toe. Concentrate all your effort on wiggling it, even slightly. Often, once one small movement succeeds, the paralysis breaks more quickly. The effort itself, even if it does not immediately produce movement, can help you feel less helpless. If hallucinations are present, try to observe them with detachment. This is easier said than done, but the practice can reduce their emotional impact. Tell yourself that you are watching a film, that these images and sounds are not real, that they are projections of your own mind. Some people imagine themselves as a scientist observing an interesting phenomenon, or as a lucid dreamer exploring a strange landscape. Distance, even imagined distance, can lessen fear. Avoid struggling violently against the paralysis. The instinct is to fight, to force your body to respond. But struggling increases panic and does not usually shorten the episode. It can even prolong it by maintaining high arousal levels. Instead, try to relax into the experience. Surrender to the temporary immobility, knowing it will lift on its own. This counterintuitive approach can be surprisingly effective. If the sense of presence is overwhelming, some people find it helpful to mentally address it. You might think or silently say, "I know you are not real. You are part of my dream. You have no power here." This assertion, even if it feels strange, can help you reclaim a sense of control. You are not a passive victim. You are an aware observer managing a temporary state. After the episode ends, take a few moments to reorient yourself. Sit up slowly if you were lying down. Turn on a light if the room is dark. Ground yourself in the physical reality of your surroundings. Notice the texture of the sheets, the temperature of the air, the sounds of the house or the street outside. This grounding helps your brain complete the transition from the mixed state of sleep paralysis to full waking. You may feel shaken or unsettled. That is natural. The experience can be intense, and the adrenaline released during the episode takes time to dissipate. Consider getting out of bed for a few minutes. Walk around, drink some water, splash cool water on your face. These actions help your nervous system calm down and signal that the threat, real or imagined, has passed. Some people find comfort in writing about the episode immediately afterward. Describing what happened, what you felt, what you saw or heard can help process the experience. Over time, keeping a sleep paralysis journal can also reveal patterns. You might notice that episodes occur more frequently during periods of high stress, or after late nights, or when you sleep in a particular position. Recognizing these patterns empowers you to make targeted changes. Returning to sleep after an episode can be difficult. The fear of it happening again may keep you alert. If you feel too anxious to sleep, it is better to stay awake for a while than to lie in bed feeling tense. Engage in a quiet, calming activity. Read something light, listen to gentle music, practice slow breathing. When drowsiness returns, go back to bed. Your body still needs rest. In the days following an episode, especially if it was particularly frightening, be kind to yourself. Do not dismiss your fear or tell yourself you are overreacting. The experience was real, even if the hallucinations were not. Acknowledge what you felt. If the episode disrupts your sense of safety around sleep, take steps to rebuild that safety. Enhance your bedtime routine, reinforce your sleep environment, perhaps talk with someone you trust about what happened. Cognitive behavioral therapy for sleep paralysis, sometimes called CBTSP, is a structured intervention designed specifically for this condition. Typically involves several components. The first is education, building a clear understanding of what sleep paralysis is and how it works. This knowledge alone can reduce fear significantly. The second component is cognitive restructuring, identifying and challenging the fearful thoughts that arise before, during, and after episodes. Cognitive restructuring might involve examining beliefs such as, "I will die during an episode," or "I am losing my mind," or "something evil is attacking me." These beliefs are understandable, given the intensity of the experience, but they are not accurate. The therapist helps you test these beliefs against evidence, exploring whether they hold up under scrutiny. Over time, more realistic beliefs take their place. This is uncomfortable but not dangerous. "My brain is in a temporary mixed state. I have survived every episode so far." The third component of CBTSP is behavioral intervention. This includes sleep hygiene improvements, relaxation training, and sometimes exposure exercises. Exposure in this context does not mean inducing sleep paralysis deliberately, which would be unethical and difficult. Instead, it involves reducing avoidance behaviors. If you have started avoiding sleep or certain sleep positions out of fear, the therapist helps you gradually re-engage with normal sleep patterns, building confidence as you go. Some versions of CBTSP also include meditation relaxation therapy, a specific practice designed to help you remain calm during an episode. This practice involves repeated mental rehearsal. You imagine yourself experiencing sleep paralysis, and you practice the coping techniques, recognizing the state, controlling your breath, observing hallucinations with detachment. Through repetition, these responses become more automatic, so that when a real episode occurs you are better prepared. Research on CBTSP, though still limited, shows promising results. People who complete the therapy report fewer episodes, less distress when episodes do occur, and improved overall sleep quality. The therapy is typically short-term, often just a few sessions, making it accessible and practical. For individuals with sleep paralysis linked to narcolepsy, treatment is more complex. Narcolepsy itself requires management, often including medications that promote wakefulness during the day and improve nighttime sleep. Sodium oxybate, for example, is a medication that consolidates sleep and reduces REM intrusions, which can decrease sleep paralysis frequency. In rare cases where sleep paralysis is severe and does not respond to behavioral interventions or narcolepsy treatment, medications that suppress REM sleep may be considered. Tricyclic antidepressants and selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors can reduce REM sleep intensity and duration, which may lower episode frequency. However, these medications affect sleep architecture broadly and can have side effects. They are used cautiously and only when the benefits clearly outweigh the risks. For most people, medication is not necessary. The majority of sleep paralysis cases respond well to improved sleep hygiene, stress management, and cognitive techniques. The body has a remarkable capacity to regulate itself when given the right conditions. Consistent sleep schedules, a restful environment, and reduced anxiety create a foundation for smoother sleep transitions. It is also worth noting that sleep paralysis sometimes resolves on its own. Episodes that occur frequently for a period may gradually diminish without specific intervention. This is especially true when the episodes are linked to a temporary stressor, such as a work project, a period of grief, or a major life transition. As the stressor resolves or as you adapt to the change, sleep stabilizes and the paralysis fades. This natural resolution is a reminder that sleep paralysis is not a permanent condition. It is a dynamic phenomenon, responsive to changes in your life and health. You are not trapped in a pattern. With time, attention, and the right support, improvement is possible. Many people who once experienced frequent episodes reach a point where months or years pass without a single occurrence. Even if episodes continue occasionally, you can learn to respond with calm rather than panic, recognize the signs, and guide yourself through the experience. What once felt like a terrifying loss of control becomes a manageable, even if unpleasant, part of your sleep landscape. This shift in perspective is itself a form of healing. Let your mind settle now, reassured that pathways forward exist, and that you carry within you the capacity to find peace with sleep. Part 7. The Fabric of Dreams. Sleep paralysis exists at the intersection of sleep and waking, but it also touches upon the broader mystery of dreams themselves. To understand paralysis more fully, it helps to consider the nature of dreaming, the strange theater of the mind that unfolds each night. The science of dreaming has advanced considerably, yet much remains unknown. We know that most vivid dreams occur during REM sleep, the same stage associated with the muscle paralysis that protects us from acting out our nocturnal narratives. The brain during REM is remarkably active, consuming nearly as much energy as it does when awake. Blood flow increases to regions involved in emotion, memory, and visual processing. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for logical reasoning and self-awareness, becomes less active. This shift in brain activity explains some of the peculiar qualities of dreams. Logic loosens. Impossible events seem perfectly natural. You might fly, breathe underwater, or encounter people long deceased, and none of it strikes you as strange until you wake. The critical faculties that normally question reality are dimmed. You accept the dream world on its own terms, immersed completely in its unfolding story. Dreams draw on the raw material of your life. Memories, concerns, fears, and desires blend together in unexpected combinations. A childhood home merges with your current workplace. A conversation with a friend shifts mid-sentence to a dialogue with a stranger. The brain seems to be sorting through information, making connections, testing possibilities. Some researchers believe this process helps consolidate memories, moving important information from short-term to long-term storage. Others suggest that dreaming serves an emotional function, allowing you to process feelings in a safe, imaginary space. Threatening scenarios play out in dreams, and you navigate them without real-world consequences. This rehearsal might help prepare you for actual challenges, or it might simply provide a release valve for accumulated stress. Nightmares are another aspect of the dream landscape worth considering. A nightmare is a disturbing dream that provokes fear, anxiety, or sadness. Nightmares occur during REM sleep, often in the later part of the night when REM periods are longest. They can be triggered by stress, trauma, medications, or sleep deprivation. The connection between nightmares and sleep paralysis is intuitive. Both involve fear during sleep. Both can leave you feeling shaken upon waking. However, they are distinct phenomena. Nightmares occur while you are fully asleep and dreaming. Sleep paralysis occurs at the boundary between sleep and waking. The fear in a nightmare is part of the dream content. The fear in sleep paralysis arises from the paralysis itself and the hallucinations that may accompany it. That said, people who experience frequent nightmares may also be more prone to sleep paralysis. Both conditions are associated with disrupted sleep, anxiety, and heightened nervous system arousal. Addressing nightmares through therapy or stress reduction may indirectly reduce sleep paralysis episodes as well. Imagery rehearsal therapy is a specific treatment for nightmares that has shown good results. The approach involves selecting a recurring nightmare and rewriting it while awake. You imagine the nightmare with a different, less distressing outcome. Perhaps the monster becomes harmless, or you discover you have the power to escape, or a friend arrives to help. You rehearse this new version repeatedly during the day, visualizing it in detail. Over time, the rehearsed version begins to appear in your actual dreams, replacing or reducing the frequency of the original nightmare. The brain, it seems, cannot always distinguish between imagined rehearsal and real experience. By reshaping the narrative while awake, you influence the content of your sleep. This technique has been adapted for sleep paralysis as well, with some success. The boundary between sleep and waking is thinner than we usually acknowledge. We speak of being asleep or awake as if these are two distinct states, but the reality is more nuanced. Consciousness exists on a continuum, and we traverse many gradations each night. Drowsiness, light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, brief awakenings we do not remember. All of these are points along a spectrum. Sleep paralysis simply makes one of these transitions visible and visceral. As you contemplate these layers of sleep and dream, let your thoughts become softer, more diffuse, like clouds drifting across an evening sky. Part 8. The Body's Wisdom. Your body possesses an ancient wisdom about sleep, a set of rhythms and signals refined over millions of years. These rhythms, known collectively as circadian rhythms, govern far more than just sleep and waking. They influence body temperature, hormone release, metabolism, and immune function. Nearly every cell in your body contains a molecular clock, ticking in synchrony with the master clock in your brain. The master clock resides in a small region of the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This cluster of neurons receives input directly from the eyes, allowing it to track the cycle of light and dark. When light enters your eyes in the morning, the signal travels to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which then sends messages throughout the body. It is daytime, time to be alert, time to raise body temperature and cortisol levels, time to suppress melatonin. As evening approaches and light fades, the suprachiasmatic nucleus adjusts its signals. Melatonin production begins in the pineal gland, a tiny structure deep in the brain. Melatonin does not make you sleep directly, but it signals that night has arrived, preparing the body for rest. Body temperature drops slightly. Heart rate slows. The entire system shifts toward a state conducive to sleep. These rhythms are powerful, but they are not inflexible. They can be shifted by consistent changes in light exposure, activity, and meal timing. This is how travelers adjust to new time zones, and how shift workers adapt to nocturnal schedules, though not without difficulty. The circadian system prefers consistency. It evolved in a world where day and night were predictable, and it struggles with the irregularity of modern life. Respecting your circadian rhythms, as much as your life circumstances allow, is one of the most effective ways to reduce sleep paralysis. This means going to bed and waking at consistent times, even on weekends. It means seeking bright light in the morning and dimming lights in the evening. It means aligning your schedule with your body's natural preferences as much as possible. Some people are naturally inclined toward earlier sleep and waking times, often called larks or morning types. Others prefer later schedules, the owls or evening types. This preference has a genetic component and is not simply a matter of habit or discipline. If you are an evening type forced to wake early for work or school, you are fighting against your biology. This chronic misalignment, called social jet lag, can contribute to sleep problems, including sleep paralysis. When possible, choose a schedule that honors your natural tendencies. If you must work against them, use light strategically. Bright light in the morning can help shift an evening type earlier. Avoiding bright light in the evening can help prevent further delays. Light therapy boxes, which emit bright light similar to sunlight, can be useful tools for managing circadian rhythms, especially in winter or in regions with limited natural light. Exposure to natural light during the day strengthens circadian rhythms. Your body's internal clock relies on light cues to maintain its timing. Spending time outdoors, especially in the morning, helps anchor your sleep-wake cycle. If outdoor time is limited, even sitting near a window can provide some benefit. In winter or in regions with limited daylight, light therapy boxes can supplement natural light exposure. Temperature also plays a role in sleep quality. Your body temperature naturally drops as you fall asleep and remains lower throughout the night. A cool bedroom, around 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, supports this process. If the room is too warm, your body struggles to achieve the temperature drop necessary for deep sleep. A warm bath or shower an hour or two before bed can paradoxically help with this. The warm water raises your skin temperature, and when you step out, your core temperature drops as heat dissipates. This drop signals to your body that sleep is approaching. Sound is another environmental factor worth managing. Sudden noises can fragment sleep, pulling you briefly toward waking without full consciousness. Over the course of a night, these micro-awakenings accumulate, reducing sleep quality and increasing the chances of sleep paralysis. White noise machines, earplugs, or fans can mask disruptive sounds, creating a more stable auditory environment. Your bed and bedding matter as well. A mattress that is too soft or too firm can cause discomfort, leading to frequent shifts in position and brief awakenings. Pillows that do not support your neck properly can interfere with breathing and comfort. Investing in comfortable, supportive bedding is an investment in better sleep. The psychological environment of your bedroom is equally important. Your brain forms associations with the spaces you inhabit. If you use your bed for work, watching television, scrolling through your phone, or worrying about problems, your brain begins to associate the bed with arousal and activity rather than rest. Ideally, the bed should be reserved for sleep and intimacy, nothing else. This strengthens the association between bed and sleep, making it easier to fall asleep when you lie down. If you find yourself lying awake for more than 20 minutes, unable to sleep, it is better to get out of bed than to lie there feeling frustrated. Go to another room, engage in a quiet activity, and return to bed only when you feel drowsy. This prevents the development of conditioned arousal, where the bed itself becomes a cue for wakefulness rather than sleep. Sleep pressure builds throughout the day as a chemical called adenosine accumulates in your brain. Adenosine is a byproduct of cellular activity, and its buildup creates sleepiness. The longer you are awake, the higher the adenosine levels, and the stronger the drive to sleep. When you finally sleep, adenosine is cleared away, and you wake feeling refreshed. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in the brain. It does not eliminate adenosine, but it prevents the sleepiness signal from getting through. When the caffeine wears off, the accumulated adenosine floods the receptors all at once. Understanding this can help you use caffeine strategically. Consuming it early in the day allows time for it to clear before bedtime. Avoiding it in the afternoon and evening prevents it from interfering with sleep onset. Screens emit blue light, which signals to the brain that it is still daytime. This light suppresses melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleepiness. Avoiding screens for at least an hour before bed allows melatonin levels to rise naturally. If you must use a device, dimming the brightness and using a blue light filter can mitigate some of the effect. The mind and body are not separate when it comes to sleep. Physical health affects sleep, and sleep affects physical health. Chronic pain, digestive issues, respiratory problems, and hormonal imbalances can all disrupt rest. If you suspect an underlying health condition is affecting your sleep, consulting a healthcare provider is a reasonable step. Mental health and sleep are deeply intertwined. Anxiety and depression both affect sleep architecture, often leading to fragmented rest, early morning awakenings, or difficulty falling asleep. Sleep deprivation, in turn, worsens mood and increases anxiety. This bidirectional relationship means that improving sleep can sometimes help with mental health symptoms, and treating mental health conditions can improve sleep. For those dealing with trauma, sleep can be particularly challenging. Nightmares, hypervigilance, and heightened startle responses all interfere with rest. Sleep paralysis may occur more frequently in the context of trauma, perhaps because the nervous system remains on high alert even during sleep. Trauma-focused therapy can help process traumatic memories and reduce their impact on sleep. Your relationship with sleep itself deserves attention. Some people develop a fear of sleep, especially if they have experienced frightening episodes of sleep paralysis, nightmares, or insomnia. This fear creates a paradox. You need sleep, but you dread it. The anxiety prevents you from relaxing, which makes sleep even more elusive. Breaking this cycle requires patience and often professional support. Acceptance can be a powerful tool. Instead of fighting against sleeplessness or trying to force sleep to happen, you might practice accepting wakefulness when it occurs. You lie in bed without striving, without judging yourself for being awake. You allow sleep to come when it is ready, without demanding or resisting. This shift in attitude can reduce the performance anxiety around sleep, paradoxically making it easier to fall asleep. Your body knows how to sleep. It has been doing so since before you were born. Sleep is a fundamental biological process, as natural as breathing. When obstacles arise, whether from stress, environment, or physiological factors, the goal is not to learn how to sleep, but to remove the obstacles and allow your body's innate wisdom to function. Trust in that wisdom, even when sleep feels elusive. Let this trust settle into your awareness now, a quiet confidence that your body will find its way to rest when the conditions are right. Part 9. The Edges of Awareness. Consciousness is a puzzle that philosophers and scientists have contemplated for centuries. What does it mean to be aware? Where does awareness reside? And how does it arise from the physical matter of the brain? Sleep paralysis offers a unique window into these questions. It reveals that consciousness is not a single unified thing, but rather a collection of processes that can separate and recombine in unexpected ways. When you experience sleep paralysis, different aspects of consciousness operate at different levels. Your awareness of the external environment is present. You hear sounds, see the room, feel the texture of sheets beneath you. Yet your sense of agency, your ability to will your body into action, is absent. The command to move is issued, but the body does not respond. This dissociation shows that awareness and volition are distinct processes, normally integrated so seamlessly that we do not notice the seam. The sense of self also becomes strange during sleep paralysis. You know who you are, where you are, what year it is. Your identity remains intact, yet the boundaries of the self feel permeable. The hallucinations invade your personal space. A presence seems to occupy the room with you, violating the invisible bubble that normally surrounds your body. Neuroscientists studying consciousness have identified various components that contribute to the feeling of being a unified self. There is the sense of body ownership, the feeling that this body is yours. There is the sense of agency, the experience that you are causing your actions. There is the narrative self, the story you tell about who you are across time. And there is the minimal self, the basic feeling of being a subject of experience in this moment. During sleep paralysis, some of these components remain stable while others falter. Body ownership may feel intact. You still feel that this is your body lying in bed. But agency is compromised. You cannot make the body move. The narrative self continues. You remember your name, your life, your history. But the minimal self, the immediate sense of being in control, wavers. You are present, yet powerless. You exist, yet cannot act. This fragmentation reveals the constructed nature of consciousness. What we experience as a seamless, continuous self is actually an achievement of the brain, a synthesis of many separate processes. Most of the time, the synthesis is so successful that we never question it. Sleep paralysis pulls back the curtain momentarily, showing the underlying complexity. Some researchers have drawn connections between sleep paralysis and out-of-body experiences. Both phenomena involve unusual states of consciousness. Both can include a sense of floating or separation from the physical body. Some people who experience sleep paralysis report feeling as if they are hovering above themselves, looking down at their own form in the bed. This sensation arises from the brain's spatial processing systems misfiring, creating a disconnect between the felt position of the body and its actual position. The line between waking and sleeping is not as clear as we assume. Microsleeps, brief episodes of sleep lasting just a few seconds, can occur during waking hours, especially when sleep deprived. Conversely, local sleep can occur, where parts of the brain show sleep-like activity while other parts remain awake. Sleep is not an all-or-nothing state. It is distributed and dynamic. Sleep paralysis exemplifies this distributed quality. Parts of your brain are awake, processing sensory input and supporting conscious awareness. Other parts remain in the dream state, generating imagery and emotion. Still other parts, the motor systems, remain locked in the inhibition of REM sleep. You are simultaneously awake and asleep, dreaming and perceiving reality, paralyzed and aware. The experience is strange precisely because it defies our usual categories. Meditation practitioners sometimes report experiences that resemble sleep paralysis, particularly those who practice in the early morning or who engage in intensive retreat schedules. The boundary between meditation and sleep can blur. A meditator might enter a state of deep relaxation where the body becomes very still and the mind remains aware, similar to the dissociation in sleep paralysis. Some traditions cultivate this state intentionally, viewing it as a doorway to heightened awareness or insight. Hypnagogic and hypnopompic hallucinations, the sensory experiences that occur at the transition into and out of sleep, are closely related to sleep paralysis. Many people experience these hallucinations without the paralysis component. You might hear your name called as you drift towards sleep, see patterns of light, or feel a falling sensation. These are normal occurrences, the mind's way of navigating the border between waking and sleeping. When paralysis accompanies these hallucinations, the experience becomes more intense. The inability to move amplifies the strangeness of the perceptions. A sound that you might ordinarily dismiss becomes threatening. A visual flicker becomes a lurking figure. The paralysis transforms benign hypnagogic phenomena into something frightening, simply by removing your ability to physically respond. Understanding this relationship can help normalize the experience. The hallucinations themselves are ordinary, common even. It is the paralysis that makes them feel extraordinary. Recognizing this can reduce the sense that something deeply wrong or supernatural is occurring. The brain's default mode network, a set of regions active when the mind is at rest and not focused on external tasks, may play a role in sleep paralysis hallucinations. This network is involved in self-referential thinking, daydreaming, and mental simulation. During sleep paralysis, the default mode network might remain active while sensory processing also continues, creating a blend of internal mental content and external perception. This blending is similar to what happens during ordinary mind wandering, though more extreme. When you daydream, part of your attention remains on the external world while another part spins internal narratives. Usually you can shift between these modes easily. During sleep paralysis, the two modes run simultaneously without your ability to control the balance. The study of consciousness through altered states like sleep paralysis, meditation, and dreaming reveals how flexible and multifaceted awareness truly is. Consciousness is not a fixed entity but a process, constantly adjusting to circumstances. It can expand, narrow, fragment, or integrate depending on brain state, environmental input, and intention. Sleep paralysis is simply one configuration among many, unusual but not aberrant. This broader perspective invites a sense of wonder rather than fear. Your consciousness is capable of extraordinary flexibility. It can navigate dreams, maintain awareness during deep relaxation, shift between sleep stages, and occasionally get caught between states. Each of these experiences teaches something about the nature of mind and the remarkable adaptability of the brain. Allow this sense of wonder to wash over you gently, like moonlight filtering through leaves, as your mind prepares to journey deeper into rest. Part 10. Stories we tell ourselves. The stories we tell ourselves about our experiences shape how we feel and respond. Two people might have identical sleep paralysis episodes, yet one emerges shaken and fearful while the other remains curious and calm. The difference lies not in the event itself, but in the narrative constructed around it. The story matters. It determines whether the experience becomes a source of trauma or simply an odd occurrence to be managed and understood. Consider the story of threat. In this narrative, sleep paralysis is an attack, an invasion, a sign that something is deeply wrong. The presence felt during episodes is malevolent. The paralysis is a loss of control that signals vulnerability, and the hallucinations are evidence of danger. This story generates fear, which in turn makes future episodes more likely as anxiety disrupts sleep and primes the nervous system for arousal. Now consider the story of curiosity. In this version, sleep paralysis is a glitch in the sleep system, an interesting neurological event that reveals how consciousness operates. The presence is a construct of the brain's threat detection system. The paralysis is a protective mechanism temporarily misaligned, and the hallucinations are dream imagery bleeding into waking perception. This story generates interest rather than fear, reducing the emotional charge of the experience. Neither story is more objectively true than the other in terms of the subjective experience. The physiological facts are the same in both cases. But the second story aligns more closely with scientific understanding and produces better outcomes for well-being. It allows you to hold the experience without being overwhelmed by it. It creates space for observation rather than panic. You have the power to choose which story you tell. This is not about denying your fear or pretending the experience is pleasant. It is about recognizing that interpretation is flexible. The meaning you assign to sleep paralysis is not fixed. You can examine your assumptions, question your conclusions, and deliberately construct a more helpful narrative. This process begins with awareness. Notice the thoughts that arise when you think about sleep paralysis. Do you tell yourself it means you are going crazy? That you are being punished or targeted? That you are broken in some fundamental way? These thoughts are not facts. They are interpretations, and interpretations can be revised. Ask yourself what evidence supports these interpretations. Is there actual proof that you are losing your sanity, or is that a fearful assumption? The evidence suggests a benign, if uncomfortable, phenomenon rather than a catastrophic problem. Next, consider alternative interpretations. What if sleep paralysis is simply your brain's way of navigating sleep stages, occasionally with imperfect timing? What if the hallucinations are no more significant than dreams, which you experience every night without concern? These alternatives are equally valid, and they generate much less distress. The language you use matters as well. Words carry emotional weight. Describing sleep paralysis as an attack, an assault, or a haunting amplifies fear. Describing it as an episode, a temporary state, or a sleep phenomenon keeps it in proportion. Choose words that acknowledge the difficulty without catastrophizing. Some people find it helpful to personify sleep paralysis, giving it a name or character. This might seem counterintuitive, but it can create psychological distance. Instead of being overwhelmed by a formless dread, you are dealing with Fred, the annoying visitor who shows up occasionally but always leaves. This technique helps you relate to the experience as something external to your core self, something you observe rather than something you are. Others prefer the opposite approach, depersonalizing the experience entirely. Sleep paralysis is not a visitor, not an entity, not a presence. It is a brain state, a collection of neural firing patterns, a biochemical event. This mechanistic framing can also be powerful, stripping away the narrative of agency and intention. Experiment with different narratives and notice which ones bring relief. You might find that a scientific framing works best, or a spiritual one, or some combination. The goal is not to adopt someone else's story, but to find the narrative that allows you to live with the experience most peacefully. Gratitude, though it may seem strange in this context, can also shift your relationship with sleep paralysis. Not gratitude for the experience itself, but for what it has taught you. Perhaps it has motivated you to improve your sleep habits, leading to better overall health. Perhaps it has introduced you to the fascinating science of sleep and consciousness. Finding something to appreciate, even in difficulty, can soften the experience. Compassion for yourself is essential. Sleep paralysis is frightening. It is reasonable to feel afraid. You are not weak or foolish for being scared. Acknowledge your fear without judgment. Treat yourself as you would treat a friend going through the same thing. Offer yourself kindness, patience, and understanding. This self-compassion extends to the moments after an episode. You might feel embarrassed or frustrated that you were so frightened by something you know is not dangerous. This is normal. Knowing something intellectually does not instantly change an emotional response. Give yourself permission to feel what you feel, and also to work gradually toward a different response. Stories are not static. They evolve as you gather new information and have new experiences. The story you tell about sleep paralysis today may differ from the one you tell a year from now. Allow that evolution. Be open to revising your narrative as you learn and grow. Each episode is an opportunity to practice the story you want to embody, the one that serves your well-being and aligns with your values. In the end, the most important story is the one that helps you live fully, that allows you to approach sleep without dread, and that honors both the reality of your experience and the possibility of peace. You are the author of that story. You hold the pen. Write with care, with compassion, and with the knowledge that your narrative has power. Let that power settle gently into your awareness now, a quiet strength that supports you as you move toward the deep stillness of sleep. Part 11. The Gift of Understanding. Knowledge transforms experience. What once seemed incomprehensible becomes explicable. What felt threatening reveals itself as manageable. The journey through understanding sleep paralysis is itself a kind of passage, moving from darkness into light, from fear into acceptance. Sleep paralysis, as you now understand, is woven into the fabric of human experience. It has visited our ancestors across millennia, appearing in their art, their stories, their medical texts. It has been interpreted through countless lenses: demonic, spiritual, medical, neurological. Our current scientific understanding is simply the latest chapter in this long history, not the final word but the most complete picture we have assembled so far. The physiology of sleep paralysis is elegant in its way. The brain orchestrates an intricate dance each night, moving through stages with remarkable precision. The paralysis that troubles you during an episode is the same mechanism that keeps you safe every night. It is not a malfunction but a feature, simply mistimed. The factors that increase susceptibility to sleep paralysis are largely within your influence. Small changes accumulate over time, creating conditions that favor smoother sleep transitions. You are not powerless in the face of sleep paralysis. You have tools, strategies, and the capacity to shape your sleep environment in ways that reduce episodes. The psychological dimension of sleep paralysis deserves recognition as well. The fear that arises during episodes, the anxiety that can develop around sleep itself, the stories you tell about what the experience means, all of these are accessible to change. The experience may not disappear entirely, but your response to it can evolve. Some people discover unexpected benefits from their encounters with sleep paralysis. They develop an interest in sleep science, consciousness studies, or lucid dreaming. They cultivate resilience and learn to navigate fear with greater skill. They gain first-hand insight into the constructed nature of perception and the flexibility of consciousness. The community of people who experience sleep paralysis is larger than you might imagine. Online forums, support groups, and educational resources connect individuals across distances. Sharing your experience with others who understand can be profoundly validating. You are not alone in this. Research into sleep paralysis continues, advancing our understanding and refining treatments. Scientists explore new questions about the neural circuits involved, the genetic factors that influence susceptibility, and the most effective interventions. The knowledge base grows, and with it, the options for those who suffer from frequent episodes. Acceptance does not mean resignation. You can accept that sleep paralysis is part of your experience while also working to reduce its frequency and impact. Acceptance means meeting reality as it is, without denial or catastrophizing. From that grounded place, you can make choices about how to respond. The goal is not perfection. You may still experience sleep paralysis occasionally, despite your best efforts. That is okay. The measure of success is not the complete elimination of episodes, but the reduction of suffering. If episodes become less frequent, less intense, or less frightening, that is meaningful progress. Small improvements matter. Your relationship with sleep itself may deepen through this process. As you attend to sleep hygiene, honor your circadian rhythms, and create a restful environment, you are caring for one of the most fundamental aspects of your health. Sleep is not a luxury or a weakness. It is a biological necessity. Prioritizing sleep is an act of self-respect. The practices you develop around sleep serve you beyond managing sleep paralysis. They improve the quality of all your sleep, which in turn affects every waking hour. Better sleep means better mood, sharper thinking, stronger immunity, and greater resilience. Compassion, both for yourself and others, grows from understanding. When you recognize that sleep paralysis is a neurological event rather than a personal failing, you can extend kindness to yourself during and after episodes. When you understand that others who experience it are navigating the same challenges, you can offer empathy and support. The mysteries of consciousness remain vast, far beyond what any single experience can reveal. Sleep paralysis is one small window into that vastness, a momentary glimpse of how awareness can fracture and recombine. It invites humility before the complexity of the mind and wonder at the brain's remarkable capabilities. Even in discomfort, there is something extraordinary happening, something worth contemplating with curiosity. As you prepare to release into sleep tonight and in the nights to come, carry this understanding with you. Let it be a gentle companion, a source of reassurance when sleep feels uncertain. You know now what sleep paralysis is. You know why it happens. You know what you can do to reduce its occurrence and manage it when it comes. This knowledge is yours to keep, a light in the darkness, a steady presence beneath the surface of sleep. Rest now in the fullness of this understanding, allowing it to settle deep within you like stones sinking softly into still water. Part 12. Embracing the night. Night falls with gentle inevitability, calling you toward rest. The world quiets. Light fades. Your body, attuned to rhythms older than memory, begins its preparation for sleep. This transition, repeated countless times across your life, is a sacred passage, a daily return to the source of renewal. Sleep is not an absence but a presence, not emptiness but fullness, not loss but restoration. As you lie down tonight, you carry with you all that you have learned. Sleep paralysis, should it visit, no longer arrives as a stranger. You recognize it. You understand its mechanisms. You know it will pass. This knowledge does not erase all difficulty, but it changes the landscape. What once loomed large now fits within a context, bounded and explained, manageable and temporary. Your breath becomes your anchor, as it has been throughout this journey. Slow and steady, in and out, each cycle drawing you deeper into relaxation. Your chest rises and falls. Your belly expands and softens. The rhythm is automatic yet available to your gentle guidance. Breathing connects you to the present moment, to the reality of your body, to the simple fact of being alive. Let your attention move through your body, noticing without judgment. Your feet rest against the sheets. Your legs lie heavy and still. Your hands relax at your sides or on your chest. Your shoulders release their burden. Your face softens, jaw unclenching, forehead smoothing. Each part of you lets go, yielding to gravity, surrendering to rest. This is the natural state of the body preparing for sleep, and you allow it to unfold. Thoughts may still drift through your mind like clouds across a darkening sky. You do not chase them or push them away. You simply observe them passing. A worry about tomorrow floats by, and you let it go. A memory from earlier today appears, and you acknowledge it without attachment. Thoughts are not problems to solve right now. They are simply events in the mind, no more substantial than dreams. The boundary between waking and sleeping grows thin. You may notice the shift, the subtle change in awareness as consciousness begins to soften and spread. Images may flicker behind your closed eyes. Sounds may seem to come from far away. Your sense of your body may blur, becoming less defined. These are the signs that sleep approaches, and you welcome them. If sleep paralysis comes tonight or on another night, you are prepared. You will remember to breathe. You will recognize the state for what it is. You will observe the sensations with as much calm as you can muster. You will remind yourself that this is temporary, that your body is safe, that the hallucinations are not real, and you will wait patiently for the paralysis to lift, knowing that it always does. But perhaps sleep paralysis will not come. Perhaps instead you will drift smoothly into deep, restorative sleep, moving through the stages with easy grace. Your brain will orchestrate its nightly symphony, consolidating memories, processing emotions, restoring cellular function, preparing you for tomorrow. You will dream, stories unfolding in the theater of your mind, strange and beautiful and fleeting. Either way, you are held. The night holds you. Your bed holds you. The rhythm of your breath holds you. The knowledge you have gained holds you. You are not adrift in chaos, but cradled in understanding, supported by the wisdom of your body and the insights of science, nested within the vast community of humans who have slept and dreamed since the beginning of our kind. Sleep is a return home. Each night you come back to this place of rest, this necessary pause between the activities of waking life. You shed the day like a worn garment and slip into the darkness, trusting that sleep will restore what waking depletes. This trust is fundamental, built into your biology, older than language or culture or individual memory. The world continues while you sleep. Stars wheel overhead. The moon traces its arc, seasons turn. Time flows onward. But for you, in sleep, time becomes strange and elastic. Hours pass in what feels like moments. Dreams compress lifetimes into minutes. You inhabit a different relationship with time in sleep, one less linear, less demanding, more fluid and forgiving. Morning will come, as it always does. Light will return. You will wake, restored and renewed, ready to meet another day. The night will have done its work, knitting together what the day pulled apart, healing small damages, rebalancing chemistry, allowing your nervous system to settle and reset. You will emerge from sleep as you have countless times before, carried across the threshold by processes you do not control and need not understand completely. But for now, there is only this: the soft darkness, the quiet room, the gentle rhythm of breathing, the weight of your body sinking into rest. There is nothing you need to do, nowhere you need to go, no problem you need to solve. This moment asks nothing of you except that you be here, present, allowing sleep to approach in its own time. Let go of effort. Let go of vigilance. Let go of the day and all it contained. The night will care for you now. Sleep will find you as it always has, as it always will. You are safe. You are understood. You are exactly where you need to be. And so you rest, releasing into the vast embrace of sleep, trusting in the ancient wisdom of the body, the reliable cycles of day and night, the endless rhythm of sleeping and waking that has carried humanity through all the ages. The mysteries of sleep paralysis, understood now, lose their power to frighten. They become simply another facet of the rich, complex experience of being human, being conscious, being alive. May your sleep be deep and peaceful. May your dreams be gentle. May you wake refreshed, carrying with you the knowledge that you have the tools, the understanding, and the inner resources to navigate whatever the night may bring. And may you rest always in the certainty that you are not alone, that you are understood, and that you are held in the great, gentle arms of the night. May you sleep now. Sleep deeply. Sleep well. Let the night unfold around you like wings, and may you find in sleep the restoration, the peace, and the quiet wonder that you seek.